Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Tigatron. So as we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging. And we'll start right up here at the top. You've got Tigatron right there, and you've got a nice looking tiger down here. Kingdom War for Cybertron, Transformers up the side. You got that Kingdom artwork on the side right there. On the back, you have those product shots. So there he is in his bot mode, there he is in his tiger mode. He converts in 23 steps. And you have the warnings down here, and of course the Tiger baby. And over here, you've got him in his robot mode. He is a Voyager class. Get that 3/4 panel look right there so you can see both of the artwork. Up top, WFC K35. Down low, manufacturing information. So that is it for the outside of the packaging. Let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. Laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box, and we will start as we always do with the little sheet of warnings. And because this is a War for Cybertron Kingdom figure, this also comes with the collectible sticker, collector's card, whatever you want to call it. This time around, I got a Megatron. Yes, I do know that this peels away. I do know it's a sticker. I will not be doing that, but there's the front. And there is the back showing the golden disc. And then he, of course, comes with his instructions. So that leaves just the two accessories. And we will start with the accessory on the right over here. So this is his tail whip, whatever you want to call it. So from a texturing standpoint, looks pretty good. I will say visually, my biggest issue with this figure is what you see on this tail. It's that yellow type of paint or off-white type of paint that they used for portions of the figure himself, and then on this tail. I suppose they were going for a dirty fur kind of look, like maybe he's been out in the wild and he's not, you know, pure driven white like the snow. But it really just comes across making the figure look like it's been sitting in the sun too long. So barring that, the paint apps themselves look good, but I'm not the biggest fan of this yellowing. But good molding texture and everything in there. All right, and that brings us to the final accessory, which I'm happy to report is a gut gun. Would have been nice to have gotten one of those for Cheetor, but at least we got one for Tigatron here. And I think this could have benefited from additional paint apps. I mean, there's great detail in here, and it would have been nice if they would have offset that with some silver or something right there. Really would have made that pop. But at least we got a gut gun, so no major complaints there. So, all right. So that is everything that came inside the box except for Mr. Tigatron himself. So let's go ahead and we'll bring him in and take a nice close look at this guy. All right, here he is, the cat we've all been waiting for, Mr. Tigatron himself. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a nice close look. And we will start, as we always do, with that head sculpt. And I do have to say, bravo to the head sculpt. That absolutely captures Tigatron. Looks so good. Kind of going back to what I said with the gut gun, it would have been nice to have gotten some additional paint apps here on his crown. But for the most part, I think this comes across looking really, really well done. And I absolutely adore this metallic paint that they used. So it would have been nice if they could have used it everywhere, you know, maybe like the shoulders. But at least we got it on the face, and it looks good. All right, so moving on down, we'll take a look at his second face. And there is that big old tiger head. And you can see, as I mentioned earlier, some of that yellowing. So, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But I understand why they tried to go for it. But those eyes look great with those golden irises right there around those pupils. And they've even painted some whiskers on him. And he does have that cute little pink nose. He just looks adorable. And coming on down to the crotch. That looks like like a mask from, I don't know, some Pacific island. You know, just the two little eyes and a nose and a mouth right there. Just like hoo hoo ha ha hoo hoo ha. I don't know, like shark bait or something. Anyway, so it's just what it reminds me of. Maybe it's just me. And coming on down, let's take a look at those legs. You do have some nice thigh guards right there. Kind of the running theme here, could have benefited from some paint apps, but the detail is good. And then you've got his paws right there. You do at least have that nice metallic paint on his shins, with those spikes. Looks so good. Coming down here to those feet. And they're plain. They're just... his feet are tiny, much like Cheetor. His feet are plain. I don't think the plastic color really matches anything else on him. But, you know, he uses them to stand. So there you go. Alright, coming over here to the side. Molding looks good. The texturing inside there looks good. Paint apps look good except for that yellow. And I think he would have just looked better just being this color right here instead of going with this offset. So, but even up the side here, good detail. Up under his arm, you've got that going on. Back here in the back, you've got detail on the inside of that tiger shoulder. And then coming over here, looking at the arm itself, it's kind of nice. They molded in thumbs. You can't use them. They're just simply there just to show that he has some. So that's kind of nice. And then he has this almost metallic forearm. So you can kind of see the difference there between the forearm and the bicep. So this is a nice pearlescent paint. Again, could have benefited from having that in more places on his body. And over here, there's a little bit of tiger, and then you do have an effects port right there, 5mm port. A little bit of detail in the arm right there. And then coming around to the back, much like Cheetor, much like you would expect, you've got a whole lot of tiger hanging off the back, but it doesn't look too awful. And you can configure these just about any way you want. This is just my preferred folding of the tiger arms. And he does have a butt flap back here. Now this makes it easier as far as transformation goes to get his tail on and off, but yeah, so there you go. All right, and as far as hollow spaces go, he has these back here. This is where his feet tuck away during transformation. Not a lot they could have done with these hollow areas back here, and at least they have, you know, a little bit of geometry to kind of break up the monotony of that hollow space. So no major complaints as far as that go. Really my biggest issues with this guy just really comes down to that yellow paint and the lack of paint apps elsewhere. I think he could have really benefited there. So all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So bringing him back in, and we'll take a look at that head. So you don't get a lot in that head. You can get a wee little bit of wiggle and a little bit of up and down, and you can take it all the way around if you choose to do so. And at the shoulders, just getting his tiger pecs and shoulders out of the way. You can bring these up quite a bit, which is really helpful. And minding the fact that they're there, you could take this around a full 360. He does have double jointed elbows, which is nice. So you get a nice deep bend. Now, of course, this is for transformation, but it also really helps as far as posing. So I do appreciate that. And you get bicep rotation right up there just below the shoulder. And then you do have wrist rotation as well. So you don't get any wrist tilt, but you do have that rotation. So taking these arms out of the way, you do have waist rotation. So you can take him around and pose him just about anywhere you want as far as that goes. And like I said, he does have that butt flap that you can lift up and move if you choose to do so. Coming down here to the legs, you get almost a Van Damme. I mean, yeah, you know what? I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give him a Van Damme. Tigatron needs a Van Damme, so there you go. He does have a Van Damme. All right, he can kick forward that far, and minding his butt flap, he can kick backward that far. And then as far as a knee bend, you get a little bit that way, but that's because of transformation. And then you get just under 90 on that regular knee bend. Now, for all the bad things I say about his feet, there are some good things here. He does have a wide range of motion, so you can do quite a bit with those feet. So you can go back that far, forward that far, and then he does have decent ankle tilt. So bringing him out like that and give him a good amount of ankle tilt so he can take full advantage of what I'm going to give him as the Van Damme. And, there we go. That'll work. Look at that. He looks like he's ready to hit the dance floor. That's going to be a party tonight. All right, so that is details and articulation on this guy. So what we'll do next is I will go ahead and I'll get his accessories on him, and we'll talk about accessories and effects compatibility and see where we go with this guy. And here we see the big cat all accessorized with some blast effects on him, just going buck wild, I suppose. So he does have a 3mm flight stand port in his butt, and so I just took advantage of that using the little flight stand that came with the Studio Series Soundwave to plug it in and throw him on the turntable and maybe showcase these effects ports a little bit better. So he does, much like the all the other War for Cybertron figures, he does have the 5mm ports in his feet. So not only is he a crouching tiger, he's also a flying tiger. So way cool. Love seeing that. It's always fun. And I figured I would use Optimus Prime's blast effects here because, you know, he's shades of white and blue, and I thought those blue effects looked a little bit cooler than the orange effects did, but hey, maybe that's just me. But either way, his gun is effect compatible, and he does have those 2 ports under his arms, which when he's in his tiger mode, those are one of the 2 ports that you can use to store his gut gun. But they also work great for whatever is going on here. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, he looks good. His accessories are fun, and he looks good using them, and he does have that blast effect compatibility. So if you have a flight stand that will work with him, you can get this guy in some cool poses and have a lot of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and get all this happy nonsense off of him, and we'll get into transformation, and we'll turn this guy into a tiger. All right, Mr. Tigatron, it is time to maximize. So what you want to do, make sure you've got all the accessories off of him, and you just take these arms, get them up out of your way, because the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take these little side pieces right here. You're going to open these side pieces up and bring them out. And you're going to line them up with his shoulders. So you should have something that looks like that. Then you can bring his arms back down. This is where he differentiates a little bit from Cheetor. So you take advantage of these double hinged arms right here, and you're going to bring these up like that. And then once you do that, that's going to give you the ability to swing these arms out. And when you swing these arms out, then you're going to match everything up right here. So it's just a matter of getting these on that double joint angled correctly so they line up like that with the rest of the outer skin, if you will. So don't worry about having it completely sealed up yet, but you should have something that looks like that. So on the inside, you've got your arm rotated like that. So do the same thing over here. Bring this one down and bring the arm up. Tilt that down a little bit. Swing this out. And then you're just going to give that a little bit of a push down until you get it lined up. And then you have all these lined up about like that. And it doesn't really matter what you do with these yet, but go ahead and expand those out. All right. After you've done that, you've got to make room for all this to collapse. So in order to do that, you're going to take the tiger head and give that a nice gentle tug. You're going to bring that up and out like that, and then you're going to bring the tiger head down. That's going to give you the clearance that you need to collapse his robot head in. So you should have something that looks like that. And then bring that tiger head up over that, and then you have this tab right here. It's just going to pop in right on the back right there. So just bring this up, give that a little bit of a push, and then your tiger head is flush, and now he looks even more like a flying tiger. All right, anyway, moving on. Now you can take these and bring these in, and then you just start collapsing all this up. So get everything lined up, give it a push, give it a squeeze, and now you can just bring those paws and arms down, squeeze everything together, make sure it all looks well. All right, so mine has a little bit of a gap right there. There's nothing I can really do about it, so I try to line stuff up too much. There we go. Nope, it just doesn't want to stay. All right, so you should have that, and that's the front half. So taking your attention down here to the legs, I swear I'll spit it out. You can just start bringing these feet forward or backward, and then pull the little tiger feet down out of the way. And then when you do that, you can start collapsing those feet in right there like that, and then these fill in those areas. So we do the same thing over here, open these up, and then you can see it's kind of hollow, but if you flip it over, you probably don't have to do this, but I do it manually. I just give that a little bit of a push just to make sure nothing gets caught, and then when you push that foot in, then it fills this area in right there. All right, then it's just a matter of giving his feet the right bend. So bend that backwards. And then, like I said earlier, you have this butt flap right there where you can lift that up so you can tuck his tail in a little bit easier if you choose to do so. So go ahead and grab his tail. And it's the old plug it in and you're all set. So bring the butt flap back down, spread those legs out so the butt flap goes down where it's supposed to. And then it's just a matter of lining the legs up at the right angle and then bringing these tiger feet down. And I'm not the greatest animal anatomy guy, so just bear with me if he looks a little stiff-legged as far as tigers go. Dynamic posing of animals is not really my thing, but as far as transformation goes, transformation is now complete on Tigatron. So once you get him here, do what you want to do as far as posing. I'm sure this is not the most natural looking tiger pose in nature. So, but yeah, now he looks like he's got to go potty. Look at that. All right, he found something to pee on. Good for you, Tigatron. Let's put that leg back down. Anyway, all right, so that's it as far as the transformation goes. It's pretty easy, and it's actually very enjoyable. It's a fun transformation to do. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and I'm just going to take his gut gun just to show you the storage real quick. So you have these two ports, and you can plug it in there, or, just to shake things up, you can plug it in there if you want to do that. All right, so what we'll do, I'm going to take this off. It's not the most elegant storage, but it's there if you want to do it. So I will bring in some comparisons now, and you can see how this guy stacks up in his alt mode against some other figures. Hey, I can't do comparisons yet. I just realized I haven't done the details or articulation for the alt mode, and there's a good amount to go over with this guy. So let's do that first, shall we? All right. So we saw this head earlier, but it's always fun to take another look at that guy. And he does have little tiger teeth. Let's open that up, and we'll see the tiger teeth in there. So yeah, got some tiger teeth. Would have been nice to have had maybe, a painted tongue, but that is kind of the story of this guy. Paint apps in certain places would have been nice. Other paint apps in certain places removed would have been nice. So here we see him from the side, and there's that yellowing that I'm talking about, which I'm just not a fan. Sorry, I'm not. But yeah, good detail, looks good from the side. And for the most part, the robot does disappear. You lose the illusion a little bit back here. He does have the teal, and the feet are sticking out, but this isn't bad. It doesn't really bother me. And if you look up underneath, you do see a little bit of that Pacific Islander mask in there. So, but for the most part, I don't know. I think he looks good. I like him in his alt mode. Yeah, little paws down here. Broken record, I'm going to say it. Would have been nice to have had some paint apps to differentiate those toenails from everything else. All right, so as far as articulation goes, you already saw he does have his jaw that opens and closes. Nothing else really going on up here. And you do have a wide range of motion for the tiger legs, so you can go all the way around on those tiger legs if you choose to do so. You can spread them out. So if you want to give you a big old tiger hug, hey, how you doing? You could do something like that. And he does have a bend. I guess this would be, yes, that would be the elbow. Elbow bend, forward that far, backward that far, and then you get down here to his little tiny feet, and you can do that with him if you want, and you can do that with them if you want. And they are on a ball joint right here, so you do get a little bit of individual movement, so you could do that if you want to do that, or take them around a little bit, in or out. All right, and then as far as the rear legs go, you can swing them out because that doesn't look weird. Not at all. Nope, that's totally natural for a tiger. But you can do that if you want to. And you can do, you know, down, up, out. So, I mean, he can be, you know, kind of doing one of those. Maybe you could, ooh, maybe, yeah. Ooh, look at that. Whoa, at least from the side, it looks like he's pouncing on something. So you could do that if you choose to do so. Let's go ahead and plug that back in. Now, you do have motion down here. You can go that far to the back and all the way up to the front because that's where they tuck away for the transformation. And then you do have individual movement back here for those back paws, just like you had for the front. And if you don't really care that it runs into the legs, you can lift that butt flap up and you can tilt his tail around because that looks kind of weird too. I mean, you could probably do some Nightmare Tiger stuff with this guy because that would look weird coming at you. But there you go. Yeah, so he looks good as a tiger, and I think he's got some good articulation. You can have some fun with this guy and get him into some cool poses, natural or unnatural. Totally up to you. All right, so now that we have done that, now we can focus on the comparisons. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so for our first alt mode comparison, and for no good reason really, here is the Voyager class Tigatron next to my G1 Runamuck. Here we see Tigatron next to the Headmaster Weirdwolf from the Titans Return line. Next comparison is Rat Trap from the Kingdom War for Cybertron line. For our next comparison, here we have the Voyager class Rhinox from the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom line. Here we see Tigatron next to the Nemesis Primal figure that came in the buzzworthy Bumblebee Worlds Collide 4-pack. And for our last alt mode comparison, it's perhaps the most relevant comparison here. This is Tigatron next to the Kingdom War for Cybertron Cheetor. So you can see the similarities and the differences between both of these figures. Alright, that's it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's go ahead and get this guy transformed back into his bot mode. Alright, so let's get Mr. Tigatron transformed back into his robot mode, shall we? So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to come back here, we're going to lift up that butt flap, and we're going to take that tail off and just set that off to the side. Now, while we're down here, we're going to go ahead and work on these legs. So you can straighten the leg out, just like that, and bring that paw out so it's sticking downward. And then you're going to start bringing this leg up. And as you do, grab his foot, pull his foot out, the robot foot, and then you can collapse this the rest of the way in. And just like that, you have one leg done. So let's do the same thing over here. Straighten the leg out, straighten that paw out, start bringing this up, pull the robot foot out, and collapse that in. And bada boom, bada bing, we're down to robot feet. So now we're going to come over here, just push these arms out of your way, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to split this chest right here. So just kind of get a fingernail in there and start giving all of this a pull. And these are the arms, so it's probably going to come apart in a different spot than the arms, but you can catch those up here momentarily and give everything a nice pull and bring all that out. So then you've got that chest cavity wide open right there. And since we have the chest cavity open, let's go ahead and take care of the tiger head. So give this a pull down like that, and then that'll expose the robot head. Pull the robot head out. And then when I gave that a pull, if it didn't already come on its own, you have this little tab right here. You're just going to pull that down and clear that. All right, so grab that robot head, bring it on back out, and collapse the tiger head. Now, when you collapse this, you're just going to, there's this little curved area right here. You're going to bring all this down. It's on a double hinge, and give that a little push, and lock that in place. So you should have your tiger head locked in, something like that. And once it's there, you give it a little tug, make sure he's in nice and tight. All right, now turn your attention to the arms. These arms are on those double hinges. So if they have not already disconnected from the shoulder area and from these ab areas, just give those a little bit of a pull and make sure they're disconnected. And then you can bring those arms down on those double hinges and then lift those up out of your way, because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take this little ab area and you're going to bring this in and collapse that in, just like that. So we'll do the same thing over here, make sure everything is disconnected, and bring the arm down on those double joints, get it out of your way, grab this ab piece and bring that in and give everything a nice squeeze. All right, then you can come back here and do pretty much whatever you want to do with these feet. Just fold them up, make them look as elegant as you possibly can for tiger legs and feet that are hanging off the back of a robot. And then straighten the arms out. Da, 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 da. And we are done. And you have Mr. Tigatron back in his robot mode. And now that we've got him back in his robot mode, let's go ahead and jump into those robot mode comparisons and see how this guy stacks up. Alright, so for our first comparison, here we see Kingdom Tigatron next to G1 Runamuck. For our next comparison, here we have the Core Class Kingdom Rat Trap next to Tigatron, who is a Voyager class. Next comparison, we see the Deluxe Class Kingdom Beast Wars Air Razor. Here we see the Voyager Class Kingdom Tigatron next to the Voyager Class Kingdom Dinobot. Next up is Kingdom Rhinox. Here we see Tigatron next to Optimus Primal. And for our last individual bot mode comparison, of course, we have Tigatron on the left, who is a Voyager class, and on the right we have the Deluxe class Cheetor. And as you can see, there are a lot of similarities between these two. They share a lot of the same engineering. A majority of the transformation is the same, but there is a little bit of a difference there with those arms, the way they transform. But without a doubt, between these two, Tigatron is the superior figure. It definitely feels a lot more robust and comes together and looks better, I think, than Cheetor does. And just for fun, here we have a group shot of all the War for Cybertron Kingdom figures that are based off the Beast Wars lineage or the Beast Wars mythology. So I thought it would be fun to just bring this group together just to see them, because, I mean, why not, right? All right, that wraps up the robot mode comparison, so let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. All right, so let's talk about the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Voyager class Tigatron. In short, I like this figure. I think this is a much better figure than we got with Cheetor or with the Shadow Panther iteration of that. I think this is a more robust design. I think he comes together better, and I really like what they do with those arms, far better than what we saw on the Cheetor figure. Now, all that being said, let's go ahead and break this guy down a little bit and talk some numbers. So we'll start with the aesthetics. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of that yellowing. That yellow paint on there, I know it's meant to look like dirty fur. I don't know, add another layer of realism, but it doesn't work for me. It makes the figure look weathered. It makes him look like he was out in the sun too long. So I'm not a fan of that. Now, the other paint apps that they used on here, that teal looks amazing. The paint that they used on the forearms looks really good. I just wish that they would have taken some paint app liberties in other places as well to kind of break up that monotony, particularly in his robot mode. So not a fan of the yellow. Wish they would have used some more paint elsewhere. So for the aesthetics, I'm going to give this guy an 8 out of 10. Now, moving on to articulation. I've got no major issues here. I think it's a well-articulated figure, just keeping in mind that you need to work around the tiger geometry, if you will, when you have him in his robot mode. So those tiger shoulders and those chest pieces can get in the way when you're trying to move his arms around. But as long as you're aware of that, you can work around them. I do appreciate that the tiger butt flap gets out of your way for a back kick. So that's a nice bit of engineering and design as well. So for the most part, this guy does everything that I want him to do from an articulation standpoint. You can get him in some great poses. I guess from a wish list standpoint, it would have been nice if he would have had a little bit more knee bend. You get just under 90 degrees on those knees, so it would have been nice to have a little bit more there. And of course, who doesn't want an ab crunch, right? And then a wrist swivel. So not just a wrist rotation, but a wrist swivel to bring those hands in would have been nice. And then in his tiger mode, if you could have moved that head, rotated it around, it would have given you the ability to maybe have him in some more dynamic poses and not be so static in that tiger mode. Also, one other thing, one of the reasons that I have him positioned the way I do right now on the turntable is the bottoms of his feet are incredibly slick. So I don't know what they really could have done with that, except maybe made the feet out of a different material that maybe would have provided a little bit more friction. But his feet are far better than what you get on Cheetor, but the size of those feet and the fact that they're kind of slick on the bottom does make it a little difficult for dynamic posing. Just something to be aware of. So for articulation, I'm giving this guy a 9 out of 10. And moving on to the accessories. Now, I will start off by saying that I very, very much appreciate that he came with a gut gun. Cheetor should have come with a gut gun. We shouldn't have had to depend on the aftermarket suppliers to get something like that to us. However, that gut gun that Tigatron has is molded. It looks great in its molded details. Definitely could have benefited from some more paint. And it would have been nice if he would have come with something other than the gut gun and his tail whip. I don't know what exactly, but I'm feeling really underwhelmed by the accessories overall with this guy. So I'm giving him a 7 out of 10 on the accessories. Now, moving on to quality. I have no major issues with this guy whatsoever. He came with everything he was supposed to. The paint applications, even though I may not like that yellow, everything was done properly. There are no molding defects or anything like that. All of his joints are tight. He does the things I expect him to do. So no major complaints there in quality. I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. Now, moving on to value. Always the most subjective of the quantifiers here, if you will. I will certainly give him a thumbs up here for that G1 Beast Wars nostalgia factor. I mean, there's a sense of completion and accomplishment here, adding Tigatron to the ranks of the War for Cybertron Kingdom Beast Wars figures. And of course, that engineering that they've used for this figure definitely adds to the value as well. This is a very well engineered figure that has a fun transformation. The transformation's fun, it's easy, it's effective. I don't mind doing it. It's a blast. It's everything that you should have in a Transformer. Now, the price on this guy, I mean, of course, that's going to be part of the value, but I don't know if it's just the gradual creep up that we see of prices going up on everything, but I picked this guy up at a local Walmart, and off the shelf, he was $29, 29 US dollars. So, you know, that's something that you're definitely going to have to factor in. Do I think that this figure is worth almost 30 US dollars? It was right on the border. I mean, I knew I was going to get him because of that G1 nostalgia factor, that sense of completion for the collection. But, you know, to a less hardcore collector, somebody who's a little more casual, or somebody who's going to buy this because their kid sees it and says, look, Daddy, a tiger, I don't think that $30 price point's going to work. So, all that being said, for those of us out there who really know these figures and want to collect them, I'm going to give this guy an overall value of 8 out of 10 for the total there. Which brings us to a grand total out of a possible 50 points. Tigatron gets 41 out of a possible 50, which puts him right at 82% overall. So I can recommend this figure, certainly. I think that this is an easy, no-brainer type of recommendation. I do feel that you know, Hasbro has milked this style of mold for all they can at this point, between Tigatron and Cheetor and Shadow Panther, and who knows how many other iterations they're going to try. But yeah, I think that if you have the other Kingdom Beast Wars figures, you're definitely going to want to add this guy to your collection. And even if you're just a casual collector or somebody who enjoys the Transformers, this guy, you're going to have fun with him. You're going to pick him up, you're going to play with him, you're going to transform him, you're going to enjoy it overall. So just that biggest hurdle is going to be that almost $30 US price tag. But for the most part, I think this guy's worth picking up off the shelf and having a little bit of fun with him. So with that being said, that's going to wrap the review up. I hope that this helps you make a purchasing decision, and if you're not going to get this guy, I hope at the very least you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already done so, please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a few comments. Let us know what you think about the channel, what you think about Tigatron himself. I would be interested to hear what everybody has to think about this guy in this mold. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next one, take care.